Hello and welcome to a new video. Today we're going to take a look at the top teams for the Open Ultra League. We're going to have now 2 weeks of Ultra League coming up, so if you're interested in this league, this might be a video for you. Also, those videos always take a lot of time, so if you are not subscribed already, I would appreciate it if you enjoy this type of content. It would help me out quite a lot, as we can start immediately into the meta analysis. Here we're going to see right now that the meta, of course, is nearly the same as we had it before the last time we take a look at the Ultra League. But yeah, we got like only a few new Pokemon coming into this, basically something like Skeledirge, which we actually have a team with as well, which I tried out myself. But we also have like something like Excalibur, but nothing really shifts the meta around in the Ultra League. There's nothing like crazy that really happened for this one. So yeah, Vikavolt is not really great. You're going to have also something like the other one, like Galvantula, which has the same typing and has a better moveset than Vikavolt, so it's not going to be the best Pokemon either though. But otherwise, also check out Dracoviz here, which you see on the screen as well. We kind of do this in a cooperation now. Mainly my teams are in here, but also some other teams are now in there, and hopefully in the future we can even have more of a cooperation, so it's more like multiple people trying to put in the best teams, not only me. So let's take a look at the first team here, a team that you also saw already on my channel most likely, which was the Tapu Fini, the Charizard, the normal variant by the way. I like the non-shadow more than the shadow variant in the Ultra League in my opinion, and the Skeledirge in the back. Skeledirge is a very interesting Pokemon here, being able to beat a lot of the top meta picks, completely destroying Cresselia, completely destroying Cobalion, destroying the Registeel, completely demolishing the Virizion. There are so many Pokemon that are weak to Skeledirge, and this Pokemon is insanely underrated for the Ultra League, and I can highly recommend you to try one out if you can build one, of course. Yeah, otherwise Tapu Fini in the lead going to cover your weakness to something like, of course, yeah, Steelix theoretically, but mainly is there for Giratina, as you're going to definitely have a little bit of weakness there. But also the backline really helps out Tapu Fini, as Tapu Fini is weak against something like poison types, which actually Ghost resist from Skeledirge, which is really nice, but also against something like grass types, of course, where you're going to have great coverage in the back. You can also use the Talonflame instead of the Skeledirge. Talonflame is also way better nowadays than it was before, which you're also going to see a team for it later on. This team I also tried out in a video with Talonflame before, which worked out fairly well, but it was of course a little bit lame. Next one, going to be one where we're going to be just going to go over very fast here. It's going to be a team that's going to be a little bit weak against those fire-type Pokemon, but most of them are fire-flying, which is going to be fairly decent for you. But this team, for example, would die nearly completely against the Skeledirge, which is kind of funny. But it's been around for like 2 seasons now, and it's been always really strong. So yeah, this is like a team that you can definitely run. Like Double Electric line is actually fairly decent in the current meta. Having a grass type, of course, as coverage for those potential steel types was really decent. Back in the day, you were able to use the Trevenant a little bit better. Nowadays, Virizion is definitely better than Trevenant, as there's a Steelix around, and Steelix does actually win fairly easily, I think, against Trevenant, which is kind of ridiculous. So yeah, that's definitely the better pick here. The Pokemon on the screen are mostly the best ones, but also you can use the Steelix as a Safe Swap, or also the Heliolisk, which has now Breaking Swipe in the back, which is also kind of underrated in my opinion. Very strong Pokemon indeed. Team number 3, Double Fighter, is also something I tried out already this season, and I can highly recommend you to try it out as well. I played, I think, with Hitmonchan and Hitmonlee. No, Hitmontop. Yeah, Hitmontop and Hitmonchan as a backline there. Here we're going to have some other fighters. Like, it really depends. Your Safe Swap is supposed to have some type of decent coverage. Here we're going to have Sacred Sword as well as Stone Edge, which is, of course, going to give you great coverage there. Also, because you have a very great lead for Flying-type Pokemon, having something like Virizion, which has Stone Edge, is going to be very decent, but also going to make you fairly weak against some Pokemon like Charizard. Charizard going to be a little bit tricky for this team to deal with, but otherwise this team works out super well. Steelix is actually maybe even a little bit better than the Registeel there, because Steelix can actually deal with the Charizard, which Registeel is a little bit weaker against, because like Dragon type damage, just the Dragon Tail plus the Breaking Swipe is really decent against it. So this definitely works out super well as well. Tried it out myself, had great success with it. Definitely can recommend you to try it out as well. So next team coming up, we're going to have also the most common line that you kind of see in higher up meta is going to be the especially Shadow variant of Alone Sandslash. Here, Shadow Claw is definitely better than Powder Snow. In Great League, you maybe saw the video that I did earlier about the Powder Snow variant, which was really nice. Definitely check that one out. Going to be linked in the end card anyway. But yeah, here Shadow Claw definitely kind of needed for this kind of meta. We're going to have the Giratina as a Safe Swap. I saw people actually running it with the move Dragon Breath as well, but I feel like Shadow Claw is a little bit better. You could even argue of going for the Ancient Power over the Shadow Sneak if you want to, but this team definitely works it super well as well. Yeah, you can either go for the Charizard on the back, but you can also go ahead and go for the Golisopod. Both of them are totally fine. Golisopod is a little bit more common though, so definitely a totally decent team. Another Golisopod team, which is kind of similar to the one that we just had, but it's kind of reversed. We're going to have Golisopod in the lead, we're going to have Steelix and the Registeel in the back. You can also use those ice types again. It's literally the team that we just had but reversed, which also works out the similar way. Very, very strong team here. You might even kind of like even to have the Steelix in the back and like the Walrein as a swap. But here, of course, it's still very solid like this and totally fine. Should be working out super well. But it's basically the same team as before, just reversed. Then we're going to have the team from MEWeedle, who's, of course, the world champion from the season prior, not the last one. And here we're going to have now the team with Golisopod and the Giratina again as a say-swap. Could be, again, a different moveset there. I don't know about this one yet, but seems like a solid team. We're going to have the Swampert in the back, which is very underrated in the current meta, I feel like. Now, also, after the Earthquake debuff there, basically, the Earthquake nerf, it's still going to be a very strong pick. And this team looks very well there. I think you have to go for Shadow Claw, I think, though, on the Giratina here, I would guess. Because of Tapu Fini and stuff like this, you might be a little bit weak to Tapu Fini. But this is MEWeedle's team, which he used to climb up quite a lot. So definitely a solid one here. This is my best Talonflame team. Talonflame is a very strong Pokemon now since Steelix got into the meta. Since we have Cobalion everywhere. Since we have the Virizion everywhere. Like, the Talonflame is super underrated. Very highly recommend you to try it out again. This Pokemon really got a secret buff this season. Walrein Say Swap, Shadow variant is definitely better than the normal variant, but you can also use the normal variant, Tapu Fini in the back. This was the team that I came up with the best team around the Talonflame, which I made a video about as well, where I tried out 3 different teams around it, so definitely check that one out if you want to see more gameplay towards this team. Definitely a solid one, definitely the best one that I played with this one, and looks like so good on paper as well. Even against Registeel, you win, of course, in the 2-shade scenario as a Talonflame for sure, but also against the other Pokemon, you always have like some great coverage, and having an ice type like the Walrein is really nice in the current meta, as there are a lot of Giratina running around. So, very cool team. Might be a little tricky sometimes against something like Golisopod, but I think it's still going to be fine. Next one, do you want to have some timeout wins? This might be the team for you. And honestly, here's a question for you. Should I try out a timeout team? Like, this would not be the timeout team that I most likely would try out. Like, Steelix definitely would be in there. Or I'm most likely going to try something like Bubble Beam on the Suicune would be something that's definitely more common for timeout. Like, would you be interested to see if like timeout strategy actually works? Or it's like, oh no, please don't. Because I'm actually kind of curious about it. But yeah, let me know in the comment section. This is a very strong team. Can be core broken by Registeel though, as well as it could be a little bit awkward against the Alone Sandslash as well. Alone Sandslash could be also a little bit tricky for this team to deal with. But you have basically the most amount of bulk with this team together, which is always a good thing if you want to win in the Go Battle League, sadly. Next team, going to be team number 9, going to be one of the top teams of the last season. Someone got like up to 3,500 with this team. I played as well myself, was working out fairly well, but what I would recommend is more like swapping a little bit the order of this team. I would most likely go for the Pidgeot in the lead and Cobalion as a say-swap and the Swampert in the back. Main reason for this is there are Pokemon like, for example, the Virizion, which would core break your lead as well as your say-swap of the Cobalion. And if you just swapped it out, I think it's going to be a little bit better. But this was the team they used to get to 3,500 with it, so like that's why I'm showing it here. But if I would play it myself, again, I would most likely flip the Pidgeot into the lead and have the Swampert plus Cobalion in the back, which looks really solid on paper as well, so definitely something that's worth trying out. And for the final team, for this shorter video, we're going to have Zionic's favorite team, which I kind of wanted to highlight. I don't have the animated sprite for the Armored Mewtwo, that's why I meant for the Mega, which kind of looks similar, but Armored Mewtwo is actually very interesting in the current meta. It was really bad like recently basically, but with a recent meta shift, I feel like it actually got a lot of potential again. So Armored Mewtwo has access to the moves Dynamic Punch as well as High Strike, which you see as well as Legacy move. This Pokemon has great coverage, great bulk, has different stats than the normal Mewtwo, and Psystrike is just very sick in the current meta. And there are like so many Fighting-type Pokemon, so many Virizions, Cobalions, and all of them you can just kind of beat with this one. So I kind of like this pick, so I kind of want to include it here as well. So that's a Zionic's team here, and this is going to be also it for today's video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, feel free to leave a like, and I'll see you then. Bye bye.